What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's my team selection for Game Week 17. So I'm going to run you through how the team is looking, thoughts on captaincy, as well as future moves as well. And I'll quickly show you how I did in Game Week 16, where I got my 7th green arrow in a row. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and check out Fantasy Football Hub's Christmas offer that's on at the moment, 30% off and a 30-day free trial. So you can check out all their tools, and if you don't like it, you can always cancel later on. Links in the description below. Otherwise, let's get into it. So let's start with how I did in Game Week 16, and it was another pretty good game week for me, and I feel like I've been saying that a lot recently, but it is my 7th green arrow in a row, and I know the luck will run out at some point, but until it does, I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts. So I got 60 points. That was enough to move me from 268k to 206k, so I'm close to the top 200,000. If I could get into the top 100k by the time the Christmas period is over, that would be great. But I know how quickly these things can turn around, and I might be about to go on a run of red arrows, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself. In terms of what's working well, my semi-differentials keep coming through for me. So they're not necessarily super low owned, but the ownership isn't sky high either. So triple Arsenal clean sheet, Raya and Saliba 6 points each. Gabriel was back, got a 9-pointer because he picked up maximum bonus. And at the same time, Saka got his 5th blank in the last 7 games, which has also really helped me because his ownership is so high. And I've said before, if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't block myself from getting Saka, and he'd probably be in my team right now. But if I wasn't going to get him, the next best thing was to go triple defence because of how good their defence is. And if you look at the numbers in the last 3 games, the great defensive performances just keep continuing. 0.22 expected goals conceded versus Man United, 0.16 against Fulham, and then 0.09 against Everton. In the last 5 games, the only game they've conceded more than 0.33 XG is West Ham. Absolutely ridiculous defence, Arsenal. So very happy to have them for now. My transfer in was Rico Lewis to Trent Alexander-Arnold, which didn't work so well. He only picked up a 1-pointer. But I'm still happy with him long term, so I'm not regretting that move. Although, obviously, if I'd gone for Isak instead, I would be up on points. But to get a pretty big green arrow without Isak and not getting punished by Saka does feel pretty nice. Palmer captain blanked. I don't regret going for him over Salah. Salah only basically outscored him by 2 points anyway, so not the end of the world. But Bruno and Mbeumo, again, continuing to deliver points. I know Mbeumo went on that bit of a run where he was barely shooting at all, and a lot of people sold him, but that's now 3 attacking returns in the last 2 games, and obviously wiping out the Chelsea clean sheet also helped me. And Bruno Fernandes, I haven't gone back and worked it out, but he must be one of the highest scoring players since Game Week 10. It's a complete turnaround for the first 9 game weeks, and he's got the great fixtures coming up as well. So just really happy. And of course it was a penalty, and you can not like that, but we buy penalty takers for this reason. And also keep in mind, players like Salah have had 4 penalties in the last, I think it's 10 games or something like that. So Bruno Fernandes is probably due a few more, so hopefully he picks them up. And then Solanke got me a 5-pointer. The only players to blank were Trent, Rodgers, João Pedro, and Cole Palmer. And I didn't bench any points either. So overall, really nice week. Let's take a look at Game Week 17. So for Game Week 17, I've got 3 free transfers. I had 3 last week as well and did Rico Lewis to Trent Alexander-Arnold, which means I don't have a huge amount of money in the bank anymore, just 0.3 million. But with so many transfers stacked up, it gives me flexibility if I need to move money around. With my defenders, it's pretty simple. I'm playing triple Arsenal defence again, so Raya, Gabriel and Saliba against Crystal Palace away, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold against Spurs away. With the Arsenal triple up, I don't necessarily expect a clean sheet against Crystal Palace. I think it's a difficult enough fixture. But as I say most weeks, if any team is going to go away to Crystal Palace and keep a clean sheet, it will be Arsenal. They won't give up many chances. And if you go and look at bookies' odds for who's going to get a clean sheet in Game Week 17, Arsenal will be right up there, as they always are. And if they do get their clean sheet wiped out, so be it. I've had so many points from them so far, it wouldn't be the end of the world. What I would like to continue happening is when I lose the clean sheet, I get at least 1 attack and return. Because every week so far on the triple up, I've had at least 1 return. So hopefully that continues. If it doesn't, so be it. In terms of that triple up, I don't think it's going to last much longer. If you look at the fixtures coming up for Arsenal, Ipswich at home is great. So I'm happy to play all 3 in that match. But then from 19 to 22, or even 19 to 24, it's Brentford away, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Villa at home, Wolves away, City at home. It's going to be a bit more difficult to keep clean sheets. They probably will get some over that run, but I'm less confident as I have been over the run they've had right now. So I think I probably will do something like Saliba to Munoz in game week 19 because Crystal Palace have Southampton at home, Chelsea at home, Leicester away. But until game week 19, I'm just not going to worry about it. So the triple up stays for now. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not ideal against Spurs well, but expect Spurs to score in that game. But my other options are Pinnock, who picked up a hamstring injury for Brentford last night in the Carabao Cup, or Greaves, who isn't starting for Ipswich. So basically, I don't have bench cover at the moment. Now, the good thing is, Raya, Gabriel, Saliba and Trent are pretty much nailed on to start every single game. So it's not a massive concern, but at some point I might need to fix that. There are maybe some slight concerns with Trent, I guess, because he's not long back from a hamstring problem. And he did start last night in the Carabao Cup, but he only played one half. So I think that's a positive sign for his fitness going forward. And also, if you look at Trent's matches, Spurs away on Sunday, he's definitely starting that. And then the Leicester at home game, which is the money game really, is on Thursday, on Boxing Day. So they've got a Sunday to Thursday turnaround. That doesn't look too bad for me. I think after that, it's then Sunday for West Ham. So the turnaround between 18 and 19 might be a slight problem. But if they manage his minutes over these games, I think he'll start them all, especially when Conor Bradley is not around. And putting Kwanzaa in that position, or Gomez, it's not ideal. So I think if Trent can stay fit, there is a good chance he will start the next 3 games. But I can't sit here and say it's a guarantee. But for this week, although it's 2 away games, Palace away and Spurs away, they're all quality players. They've all got attacking threat. Ray can get you save points as well. It still looks pretty good. I need the clean sheet to come in, I think, because I don't have players like Saka and Isak. But if it doesn't, like I said, I've got so many points. I'll thank them for it and look forward to playing them against Ipswich. So I think my midfield looks pretty good this week. I've got Cole Palmer against Everton away, Bruno Fernandes against Bournemouth at home, Brian Mbeumo against Forest at home, and then Mo Salah against Spurs away. And on the bench, it's Morgan Rogers against City at home. Now, at the moment, Salah has the captain's armband. It's been on him all week, and I'm pretty sure that's going to stick. If you're looking for a differential this week, I think it probably is Palmer captain, because he's certainly not a terrible option, and Salah's captaincy percentage will be massive. So if you're looking for a differential, I'd maybe go Palmer. And look, if I was putting money on it, I probably would go for a Chelsea win. They'll probably score a couple of goals, maybe more if they have a really good day. But I also know in the back of my mind, if any team is going to grind out a low-scoring game at home to Chelsea, Everton is one of those teams. They've already got 6 clean sheets this season, and you just know that Spurs are going to give up chances. I'm pretty sure Ange Postecoglou said yesterday that Romero and Van der Ven are out until the new year. Destiny Udogie is suffering with fatigue, so we're not even sure if he's going to start against Man United tonight in the Carabao Cup. And also, if you want some more confirmation bias for Salah, he was rested last night in the Carabao Cup. So were a bunch of other Liverpool players. They've got an extra day's rest over Spurs, and Spurs will almost certainly put out their strongest team against Man United, or at least as close to it as they can. So Salah definitely captain. Captaincy between him and Palmer continues to look good moving forward. So those two going nowhere. With Fernandes and Mbeumo, if I'm completely honest, I'm just winging it at the moment. I don't know how long I'm going to keep them for, but until it's a problem, I'm just not going to worry about it. Would I like someone like Bukayo Saka this week? Absolutely. But I think at this point, I'm just not going to use multiple transfers to take money out of my defence just to get Saka in. I think Fernandes against Bournemouth and Mbeumo against Forest both look pretty good. Neither of those two teams are pushovers, but there's at least one return in these games for both of these players. They're absolutely nailed. The minutes are great. They're on penalties. Like Fernandes last week, he had one good chance against City, which he missed, but it didn't matter because he got a penalty, and this is why we own these players. So I know a lot of people have sold them recently to get other players in, but I'm not really in a rush to do that, especially with Fernandes, because the next few fixtures look good. And with Mbeumo, I think after Forest at home, it's Brighton away. I'm not particularly worried about playing him in that game, to be honest with you. I said ages ago, I didn't see this period as terrible for Brentford. They're scoring plenty of goals this year. And I know there were lots of concerns about the amount of shots Mbeumo had recently, but that's kind of gone out the window now. He's getting returns again. Arsenal at home in 19 is not great. I may well sell him that week, but I also might look to upgrade Morgan Rogers to bench Mbeumo for Arsenal and then play him against Southampton away in 20. And at that point, he won't be like a 5% own differential, but he will be quite differential for what he offers. I think a lot of people will jump off him soon. So I'm just winging it. I think they both look good this week. So what's the need to move them on? There is no midfielder I'm worried about going into this game week apart from Saka. Like, Son's up against Liverpool. Players like Bowen, Gordon, Mitoma, they're all good, but none of them are better than Fernandes or Mbeumo. At the very least, they're on a par. So I've just got to stick with that midfield. And then up front, I've got Raul Jimenez against Southampton at home, Dominic Solanke against Liverpool at home, and João Pedro against West Ham away. And there are a couple of forwards that I'm worried about not owning at the moment. The main one is Alexander Isak, not only because I think he'll get a lot of points over the next few weeks, but also because his price continues to go up. He's up to 8.7 million now. He's only 8.4 a few weeks ago. And that's the forward that everyone is buying at the moment. So that price will continue to go up. The other forward is probably Nicholas Jackson because of how good Chelsea's fixtures are coming up. I'm just a little bit less worried about him because he's only one yellow card away from getting suspended. And I know he hasn't had that so far and he probably won't get it. But for that reason, I'm not in as much of a rush to bring him in. Isak, though, is a concern. All that being said, I'm probably rolling the transfer this week. And when I check my suggested transfers over on Fantasy Football Hub, that also agrees to roll the transfer. If you want to check your suggested transfers, by the way, link in the description below. Why am I rolling my transfer? Let's go through the forwards one by one. Raul Jimenez, great fixture this week. I know people have got concerns about Meniz, but I think Raul Jimenez is still first choice. And that Southampton game is 8 days after their last game. So Raul Jimenez should be fit enough to start. I can't guarantee it will happen, but I think because I've already got him in my team, I need to hold on to him. There are rumours going around that Fulham might try and sign Evan Ferguson on loan from Brighton in January, but by the time he'll be ready to play in January, there's another 4 game weeks before that, and Fulham have 3 home games in the next 4. Southampton this week, then it's Chelsea away next week, then Bournemouth at home and Ipswich at home. So for me, Raul Jimenez is just excellent value. And I think there's a good chance he'll start 3 of the next 4. And for me, at 5.5 million, that's enough to hold on to, especially when it's Southampton this week. So he might not start, and I'm ready for that to happen. But if he does, excellent fixture. With João Pedro, I'm happy to sell him if needed to someone like Isak. But because of the price difference, it would probably require 2 other transfers to fund it. And there are not many players in my team that I want to sell. So for now, I'm just going to hold on to him. I quite like having those 2 value players because of what it's allowing me elsewhere. So I don't really want to sell João Pedro, or at least I don't want to find the money to upgrade him to Isak. Solanke, I'm very happy to sell to Isak, but I'm not happy about selling any of my players this week outside of Solanke. So basically, I'd like to do Solanke to Isak, but the only player I'm willing to downgrade to do it is also Solanke. Like, triple Arsenal defence, I could do Saliba to Robinson. I'd rather have Robinson this week against Southampton at home than Saliba against Palace away. But then in game week 18, Robinson's got Chelsea away. And I've got Greaves and Pinnock on the bench, so I would have to play him. And selling an Arsenal player before they play Ipswich at home doesn't sound nice to me. With Trent, I know everyone's now thinking he doesn't look great. 1 point at last week, Spurs away this week. But it's Leicester at home next week. Great. Salah, Palmer going nowhere. Fernandes and Mbeumo also pretty good this week, right? I could do like Mbeumo to Ahmad or Enzo and go super cheap and then do Solanke to Isak, but I'm not sure that's a better combination this week. Ahmad and Isak or Mbeumo and Solanke, I think it's pretty close, and because it's close, I'd lean more towards rolling the transfer. I think the best move for my team is to downgrade a defender, but not to do it right now. If you look at my team for the next few weeks on the My Team tool, for example, looks pretty good this week, as I've just discussed. Game week 18, my defence of Raya, Gabriel, Trent and Saliba are basically playing Ipswich at home or Leicester at home. That's decent. Palmer and Salah both home games against Fulham and Leicester. Fernandes, Wolves away, pretty good. Mbeumo, Brighton away, not so good. But then Solanke has Forest away. So the fixture's a bit better than what he has this week against Liverpool. And then Raul Jimenez has got Chelsea away, or I could play Rodgers against Newcastle away. And then João Pedro's got Brentford at home, a team that not only are conceding a lot of goals this season, but have just lost Pinnock to a hamstring problem. And Vandenberg also went off before... Sorry, he didn't even go off. He didn't start the game. He was due to start and they had to make a late change. So defensively, Brentford not looking great. So I think the team will still look pretty good in 18. If I really wanted to get Isak in, that might be a week to sell Mbeumo. But I actually think I'm going to get to game week 18 and not need to make a transfer either. So I think 19 is probably the time where if everything goes right this week and next week, I'll have 5 free transfers for the first time this season. And because I've got triple Arsenal against Brentford, then I'd be happy to downgrade one. So Saliba out for Munoz, which I mentioned earlier, who would have Southampton at home, and by that point will have served his suspension. That looks pretty good. That gives me 1.7 in the bank, so I can do Solanke out to any player costing 9.2 million. Now, Isak will continue to go up in price, but by game week 19, he's not going to be 9.2 million. I'm not going to get priced out of that move unless Munoz goes up heavily in price. But his suspension for game week 17 will stop the transfers coming in. So that's the week that I could do it. But in game week 19, Solanke's got Wolves at home. And Isak has got, let me just find him here. Sorry, let me just bring him up here. Isak in game week 19 has Man United away. So the reality is, I'm probably not getting Isak until game week 20. Because if the move has to be made in 19, I'm just going to keep Solanke for Wolves at home. Even with the new manager that Wolves will have at that point, that's still a really good fixture. So I think, I know it's very boring, right? Especially over Christmas when there's so many fixtures. My moves might be roll this week, roll in game week 18, get to 19 with 5 free transfers, and just get Munoz in. And then maybe, even if I don't want to, if I decide that I want to keep Solanke, because the fixtures after Wolves at home are not that bad, I could even upgrade Morgan Rogers to someone like Eze, and then have him for Southampton at home as well in game week 19. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the game weeks, and just bench Mbeumo. And then when I get to game week 20, I've got Mbeumo as a big differential against Southampton. So I don't mind winging it at times if my team looks good. So I think absolutely roll looks good. My AI suggested transfer is exactly the same. And then I decide what to do in 19. If the team looks good again, I can just roll. And then I'm with 5 free transfers, I'm super flexible about how I get Isak in and when I do it. And I know he could punish me over the next few weeks, right? Because he's got good fixtures. He's a brilliant player. But I feel like he and Saka are the only 2 players I'm really fighting against at the moment. Jackson's ownership is high, but I'm not as concerned about him. Otherwise, I think I've got pretty good players outside of Isak and Saka. So far, going against Saka has worked pretty well. I do not expect that to continue over the next 2 game weeks. He's too good of a player to continue to blank, especially with Ipswich at home. But I've kind of made my bed now, so that's it. So if you've enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, check out Fantasy Football Hub and all their tools using the link in the description below. 30% off at the moment and a 30-day free trial. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow for final thoughts.